Hey guys, today I'm going to show you how to make a beautiful langoustine and white asparagus dish. It's a langoustine and asparagus tartare with a langoustine reduction, a foamy langoustine sauce, some crispy buckwheat, and a delicious mushroom curry. So, let's begin. First, we're going to clean the langoustines. When buying langoustines, always double check the belly of the tail. It needs to be completely white for the best quality. If it has some black spots, it means the tail contains sand, which obviously is bad. Now twist the tails of the heads and keep both separate. The heads and claws we keep for the bisque. Keep those in your fridge for later. Then let's peel the tails. Press the tail to break the shell and peel it off. Be gentle so you don't damage the meat. Always start at the top and work down to the tail side. Once you're there, slowly twist it to remove it all at once. If you're lucky, the intestine will also come out. If not, be sure to remove it later on. This is very bitter. Then continue with the remaining tails. Now always be sure to double check the quality. This tail was already very soft, so it's better to use it for the tartare, because if you pan fry it, it will fall apart and the texture will be very bad. Here you can see a good quality one. Then take all the good tails and trim the big end off. This is just to tidy it up, so don't cut off too much. Now chop those trimmings and the soft tail or tails into a nice tartare. Don't over chop it, you want to keep that lovely texture. Then transfer it into a bowl and keep it in your fridge for later. Now for the sauces. Let's start with the base, the langoustine bisque. Place all the langoustine heads and claws in a mixing bowl and beat it with a flat beater till it's a thick paste. We do this so you can pan fry a larger surface and create more flavor. If you don't have a stand mixer that's strong enough, cut the heads and claws a couple of times with a cleaver or an old chef's knife. After that, pour a drizzle of oil in a hot pan and pan fry the langoustine paste on a medium-high heat till a nice golden brown color has formed. This is going to take some time, so be patient. Meanwhile, we can cut the vegetables. First, peel a carrot and cut it in 4 even pieces. Cut those pieces in thin slices. Now cut a leek in half and wash it well. Then cut half of the leek in thin slices. Now also do this with 3 celery sticks. Then cut 1 onion in half, clean it and slice it in thin slices. The final thing we need to prep is the canned tomato. I use 300 grams. Open up the can and blend it till smooth. Now as you can see, a beautiful color has formed and there's a nice font on the bottom of the pan as well. So now add your cut vegetables and pan fry it for another couple of minutes. Once the vegetables have a good color as well, add the blended canned tomato and also add a gram of coriander seeds, 2 grams of black pepper, 4 cloves of garlic that are cut in half and 2 bay leaves. And then again, continue pan frying till a nice font has formed on the bottom of the pan. When making bisque, it's all about creating layers of flavor. This takes some time. After that, deglaze the pan with 300 grams of white wine and let it reduce until almost everything has evaporated. Then add a liter of water to submerge all your ingredients and let it simmer on a medium-low heat for 45 minutes. Once that's done, pass the bisque through a fine sieve and let it drip for at least 30 minutes so you don't waste a single drop. After that, bring the bisque to a simmer once more and use a ladle to remove any oil or protein that floats on top. Then we can start with the sauces. First, measure 300 grams into a saucepan and set it aside for later. The remaining bisque we need to reduce till it's a super nice and thick reduction. It's going to be a flavor bomb. This is the consistency we're looking for. Once it's reduced, transfer it into a bowl. Then cut 1 jalapeno in half and remove the seeds. Now cut it in thin slices and cut those slices in small cubes. Add it to the bisque reduction and give it a good mix. Then keep it in your fridge for later. Now for the foamy bisque sauce, add 150 grams of cream to the 300 grams of bisque and reduce this for about 25% till you're happy with the flavor. When that's the case, season it with salt and add a squeeze of lime juice. Give it a final taste of seasoning and keep it in your fridge for later. Then the white asparagus. First we need to peel them. We only peel the stem and not the tip. Now I always say you need to peel them 1.5 times. This means that with every peel, the peeler needs to be overlapping half of the previous peeled part. Now transfer the peels into a saucepan and also add 300 grams of water. Then cover the pan with a lid and let it simmer on a low heat for 15 minutes. Now let it cool down in the pan. After that, pass the broth through a fine sieve. Then take the asparagus and level the tops. Now cut off the bottoms. Normally you only cut off a little bit, but this time I cut off a bit more because I need it for another recipe. Then transfer the asparagus into a vacuum bag and also add 100 grams of the asparagus broth, a gram of salt and 10 grams of butter. Now vacuum this 100%. Once it's vacuumed, cook the asparagus in a steam oven at 100 degrees Celsius for 8 minutes. Then directly cool them down in ice water to prevent them from overcooking. Once they have cooled down, you can take them out of the bag and separate the tops from the stems. The tops I slice in 6 equal pieces and set aside for later. Now the stems you can slice in thin slices and then in small cubes, also known as brunoise. Then add equal amounts of asparagus to the langoustine tartare and season it with a touch of lime zest, some olive oil and salt. Give it a gentle mix and keep it in your fridge for later. Now for the white asparagus rings. Cut 2 shallots in half and peel them. Then slice them in thin slices. Now add 20 grams of butter to a pan and start glazing the shallots with 3 grams of salt. Once softened, deglaze the pan with 120 grams of the asparagus broth and also add 80 grams of white wine, 150 grams of cream, 200 grams of the asparagus trimmings and 1 bay leaf. Now cover it with a lid and let it simmer on a low heat for 30 minutes. After that, remove the bay leaf and blend it till smooth. Once smooth, add 3 grams of agar powder and while mixing, bring it to a boil for 30 seconds. Then fill your desired mold with the base. Find the link to this one in the description of this video. Now let it freeze till completely solid. Then gently take both out of the mold and keep them covered in your freezer for later. Now for the mushroom cream. For this recipe I use 500 grams of delicious mushroom varieties that are already starting to go down in quality. For pan frying the quality isn't there anymore, but for a cream it's still great. First we need to clean them. Wash them well in some salted water and repeat this till all the leaves, sand and bugs have been removed. Repeat this at least 2 times. Once cleaned, transfer them into a salad spinner and spin it a couple of times to remove any excess water. The drier, the better. After that, cut 3 shallots in half and clean them. Now slice them in thin slices. Then pour a drizzle of oil in a hot pan and start pan frying the shallots. Now also chop 4 cloves of garlic and add those to the pan as well. When some color starts to form, add the cleaned mushrooms with 4 grams of salt and pan fry everything till golden brown. Meanwhile, use some cooking twine to bind 2 bay leaves and 3 sprigs of thyme together. Also add it to the pan and continue pan frying. Once a nice color has formed, deglaze the pan with 200 grams of vegetable broth. Also add 150 grams of cream and then reduce it till almost all the liquid has evaporated. Then remove the herb bundle and transfer it into a blender. Now blend it till smooth. Once smooth, season with salt and also add a knife tip of xanthan gum. This will prevent the cream from leaking any moisture once bladed. Blend it once more. Okay, so the cream is done, so we can have a little taste. That's so delicious, but it's missing something. Because the cream right now is super rich in flavor. It's quite fatty, but it's missing something. It's missing some freshness. So you want to balance it out with a little drizzle of a white wine vinegar, a sushi vinegar, even maybe sherry vinegar. That depends on the flavor you're looking for. Right now, I'm just going to add a plain white wine vinegar, high quality one. So it's not going to be the sourness, but it's more of the freshness. And I add this because I want to balance those flavors. You can imagine if you're eating a couple courses with only heavy flavors, you're going to be so full after maybe even 3 courses, and you want to be able to enjoy that full tasting menu. That's why I like to add some freshness in every component to balance it all out and to make it a bit more pleasant to eat in the entire dinner or lunch. So we're gonna blend it for another 30 seconds and then it's ready to go. Then transfer it into a piping bottle and keep it in your fridge for later. Now for the puffed buckwheat. First season a pan with boiling water with a generous amount of salt. Then add some buckwheat and boil it till it's just overcooked. Once it's cooked, just let it boil for another 5 minutes. Then you know it's done. Now drain it and let it drip for a couple of minutes. Then spread it on a metal tray and make sure it's evenly spread. Now dry it at 50 degrees Celsius till all moisture has evaporated. This is going to take some time, so be patient. Every hour you need to give it a good mix to prevent the buckwheat from sticking to each other. Once it's completely dry, heat up some frying oil till it's 210 degrees Celsius. Then carefully add some of the dried buckwheat and deep fry it till it's puffed and crispy. This will only take a couple of seconds. Now take it out of the oil and spread it on some kitchen paper. Continue deep frying the remaining buckwheat. Once everything is puffed and crispy, season it well with salt and keep it covered for later. Now the final thing we need to do is make a little herb bundle. I make these by tying some delicious herbs and flowers together with a piece of blanched chives. Here I use some fennel leaves, oxalis leaves and flowers, and savory leaves. Then we can start to finish the dish. First, place the rings on your plate and use a round cutter to shape the langoustine and asparagus tartare in a round shape. Use a cocktail stamp or a flat wine cork. Now drizzle some of the langoustine and jalapeno reduction on top. Then add a drizzle of oil to a hot frying pan and pan fry the langoustines backside down till golden brown. Add some salt for seasoning. Once golden, add a knot of butter and pan fry the other side for a couple of seconds. Then place them on an oven rack and pour the hot fat on top. Now season with some flaky salt and pipe the hot mushroom cream on there. Then cover it completely with the puffed buckwheat. Now carefully place the langoustines on top of the tartare and also add 2 of the portioned asparagus tops. Then decorate it with the herb bundle and some small salty fingers. Now serve the plate like this and finish it on the table with the delicious langoustine sauce. For me, the combination of the cold and hot elements is great and it will really surprise your guests. Okay guys, that's it for today. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Please let me know in the comments on what you want to see next. Like and share the video and be sure to subscribe if you don't want to miss any great recipes and if you want to support my channel. And as always, bon appetit!